Sometimes there's just a one bar chord vamp or riff that you need to know. It's one of those standards, and this is one of them. This is taken from Andy Ellis's article called Funky Comping. It's based on Kenny Burrell's or a Kenny Burrell type of riff that will be played or heard on a 60s era Blue Note soul jazz record. This is a Hammond-influenced riff, and it's something that you can take and morph into so many other things, or just literally play what we have here, which is this. So I'm going to focus in on the third measure here where it has a G7, but I will play all three chords that are listed, G7, C7, and D7. What we have here in G7 will be able to be played anywhere since there's no open strings. So let's take a look at this. We have a G7, stock 6-string rooted G7. Let's cut it down to the middle 4 strings where we have 5, flat 7, 3, and 5. All the chords are going to have the same chord tones on the top and bottom. So in the key of G, that's D, F, B, and D. I'm going to release the B for a second here to a B flat, making it look like or heard like a B flat over D, first inversion B flat triad. But immediately on the attack, I'm going to grace note the third of G. So really I'm thinking this is a G7, not so much as a B flat. But that's a pretty cool way to be able to substitute that gnarly sound over a dominant, is to play a flat third above the dominant root. So above G is B flat. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm slurring the third here on the attack with a grace note. Then the riff moves to what I call a filler chord. And a great filler chord when you are harmonizing within Mixolydian or Dorian, building riffs, is the 4 chord. In this case, the first inversion C over E. So B flat over D, up a whole step to C over E. Might be an easier way to remember this. Okay, and then the last chord here, what seems to be an F6, F, A, D, and F, is really a G9. Here's the flat 7 of G, F, the 9, then the 5, and the flat 7. So we have a G7 to C over E to an extension or chord tones that indicate G9. Put it together in a swing eighth fashion, and that's the riff that I had before. It sounds like this. I was incorporating swing eighths, about a tempo of 108, and that's where it feels good. You can even slow it down a bit and really get out nice and dirty and gritty with it. As I said before, you can extend this to the other positions here. In C at the 8th position, it'll be played exactly the same way. And at the 10th position for D7, it'll be played the same way. So what I'm going to do here is put it into a sequence of a 1-4-5. I'm going to add a rotary Leslie type of sound, which really augments the Hammond vibe of this riff. You can hear players from Charlie Hunter to Warren Haynes doing something like this with this type of riff. So let's see what that sounds like. You could take this riff and put it into one chord jams, as I was saying before. Just play on that one, play on one chord over a funk jam that usually and a lot of times stays in one key center. A couple things to notice here real fast too before we go on to the next day's lesson is we have the shuffle melody on the bottom here. Same thing in Dave Rubin's roots rock lesson. Add the root, and there's the shuffle. We also have the advantage here of, so you can break it down to just that one note. We also have the advantage here to break it down to 3-note voicings. Or 2-note voicings. Depends on your setup, depends on who you're playing with and what instrumentation you're playing with. If you're playing with a Hammond organ, you should go with the two-note voicings to make you stick out more in the mix. You know, 3-note voicings can come in where you're playing maybe with another guitar player. The full voicing is when you're playing trio. And you can use the Leslie sound, well, anytime the Hammond organ's not there. But all in all, this is a very important riff for you to have in your repertoire. Play a little behind the beat when you're playing with the metronome and playing with the drummer. And really get into the groove of this one and definitely incorporate it into your chordal riff vocabulary. So practice up, and I'll see you tomorrow.